Pressure, Tynecastle club prepare for that crucial match with Aberdeen. Now, the turnaround in Hearts' fortunes has had supporters in a spin this season, from title challengers and Tennent Scottish Cup winners to battling relegation and out of the cup on their first defence, and no cash for the manager to reinvest in players, despite the sale of Neil McCann and David Weir. It all started so well too. Victory over Rangers in the first match of the season. From that day forward though, a roller coaster of domestic and European trauma, which led to a 3-0 hammering by St Johnstone in the semi-final of the League Cup. Neil McCann then set out on the well-trodden path from Gorgie to Govan. But life didn't look all bad when the Jambos bounced back to dent Celtic's title challenge with a 2-1 win at Tynecastle in December. From the turn of the year though, Hearts haven't scored a league goal in 4 attempts. David Weir has left for Everton for a pittance. And what would Real Mallorca make of the Tynecastle pitch after all the stick they took from Hearts back in the autumn? All this plus the nightmare scenario of next year's local derby being against Livingston in the First Division. Well, Chris Robinson, the Hearts Chief Executive, joins me now from our studio in Edinburgh. Chris, first of all, good of you to join us tonight. It's a massive game for your club tomorrow. 9 months ago, you surely couldn't have envisaged being in this position at the start of March.
No, I don't think anyone could have envisaged that at all, Jim.
But the fact is you are in that position. How is the manager coping with that?
I think he's coping very well. It's not the position he expects to be in, but he's got a good squad of players. I'd like to correct the assertion that there's no money to spend on players. We did get $250,000 for David Weir, and that is available. So once again, you're trying to create an impression of no money being available, but it's not strictly true. Well,
I'm willing to create the impression that there is money available. So you're saying tonight that $250,000 is available to Jim Jefferies to spend even on one player if he wishes?
Oh, we said that at the time. I'm surprised that you haven't actually got that information out to the viewers, because the Hearts supporters already know that.
Well, let's clarify one or two other matters which people are asking questions about. The Neil McCann transfer money. Are you still in hock to Dundee over that?
Well, we haven't received the full transfer money. You're never paid in one sum, so Dundee will be paid their second instalment when we get our second instalment from Rangers.
But you would understand, though, that Dundee are obviously in big trouble, as we're going to see later in the programme, and they would appreciate getting the cheque from Hearts.
Well, they have. They've had a very large cheque from Hearts, and they'll get their second large cheque from Hearts when we get our second large cheque from Rangers. That's how football works, and I think Dundee perhaps are desperate for money and clutching a wee bit at straws if they think they should get paid ahead of when we get paid by Rangers.
OK, tell me this, Chris. Your manager, Jim Jefferies, he always seems to us in the media to be somewhat bulletproof. Is he bulletproof?
I don't think anybody's bulletproof, but Jim's got a long-term contract and he's got a job to do at Hearts. So I don't think any of us are bulletproof. I'm certainly not bulletproof. I guess you aren't either in your job.
I'm sure I'm not, especially with Mr McInally sitting beside me. Anyway, what about this pitch, Chris? Because you've taken so much criticism over the state of this Hearts pitch. Explain to us where it all went wrong there.
Well, we put a new pitch in a year and a half ago, and there was a construction problem that no one realised until sort of early into the season. The contractors held their hands up and re-turfed the pitch for us, and there's some major works to be done at the end of the season. It's the same contractor that's had problems with Manchester United, and like anybody, if you go out and buy a new washing machine and something goes wrong, you're quite disappointed, and we're very disappointed because Hearts depend on a good surface to play the kind of passing football we enjoyed last season.
You're depending on a good surface to keep you in the Premier League. We have to be honest here, you're only 5 points above Dunfermline, they have a game in hand. If your club went down, would they survive? Oh,
Hearts will always survive. They're a major force in Scottish football. So yes, I mean, Hibs have gone down and they seem to be surviving. It won't be a pleasant prospect, but I believe you me, everyone at Tynecastle is working together to make sure that doesn't happen.
And briefly, Chris, would your 11,000 season ticket holders stick by you? Do you think they would?
Well, not according to the Federation of Hearts supporters, but they should be getting behind us and encouraging people to renew, because a bad season doesn't make us a bad club. It doesn't make a bad manager and bad players. We've had a lot of injuries and there's been no consistent selection. You know that we've only had the same number of goals scored against us this year as last year, the same number of games. Our defence is actually very good. Where we've fallen down is scoring goals.
Okay.
So that's the real story. It's injuries and suspensions added to the pitch and a loss of confidence.
Chris, I hope you feel you've had your say. Thanks very much for joining us in the studio tonight.
Thanks, Jim.
Alan McInally with me here. Alan, it's a massive game for Hearts tomorrow. They have to start winning, don't they?
Well, big time. I thought, he spoke well there. I mean, you cannot blame him for the state of the pitch. But what I would point the finger at him is, when Jim Jeffries realised he's got 250 grand to spend, who is he going to buy for 250 grand that's really going to make a difference to Hearts' team? I don't think that's a great deal of money to give Jim Jeffries. Although, to be fair, any deals that he has done in the transfer list, I think Jim Jeffries, I've already said this, pound for pound, has been magnificent. Now, injuries haven't helped, but I don't think 250 grand is going to help him much either.
OK, but at least it's there.
Well, it is,
He clarified that for us.
Well, the bottom line is, at least Jim can go out and maybe say a wheel and deal a little bit and get somebody in that's going to make the team better.